Hundreds of years ago, Baltimore, Maryland was a salt marsh with its own unique ecosystem. As the city developed, the wetlands were covered by asphalt and concrete, erasing the original habitat. Now, the National Aquarium is reintroducing marshlands right in the middle of the city, welcoming back native animals and plants and renewing the public's interest in local natural history.
This shallow channel is loaded with several species of small fish. And there you can see we have what we call mummichugs. This is a type of Achilles fish. These small fish want to be up in this shallow channel because larger fish want to eat them. This is the full adult size. And they're up here, the protection of the shallow water. And they also lay their eggs up here in the marsh grass. So it's a refuge and also a nursery for their young fry to hatch out and survive. It seems like we're walking on water here, but we're walking on this constructed habitat that we've made. What we would like to do with our educational dock is to create spaces for people in the city to come and be surrounded by green infrastructure. So when you come to a forest or something like that, your blood pressure goes down. When you're stuck in traffic out in Pratt Street over here, everyone beeping their horn at you, your blood pressure is going up. So we really want to create little areas for city folks to come see wildlife, but also to relax and be surrounded by green infrastructure. I'm Jack Cover, General Curator here at the National Aquarium in Baltimore. Yeah, I'm a native son of Baltimore, grew up in the city. Was grateful in having parents joining Boy Scouts, actually getting out into nature. I love the Chesapeake Bay, love the mountains of Maryland. It's just a beautiful state to live in. You know, the school year, sitting in the classroom, listening to teachers, or going on a field trip to the Baltimore Zoo or the National Aquarium that was in DC, that was the highlight of my year. At home, I started building terrariums, living with salamanders, all sorts of things, and it was all about recreating their little micro-habitat. And so it's just something that started, and eventually I got to be a member of teams that actually build terrariums that people walk through. So it just kept getting bigger in scale. And it kind of culminated in the building of this harbor wetland exhibit. I think this is the ideal example of how you can bring back nature in a very urbanized environment. It took us quite a few years to get here, to figure out how to build this, how to plant grasses that could be sustained, how to keep geese from eating it. So we really had to work out all those challenges, but I think this is definitely going to be something that a lot of other waterfront cities are going to copy.
I'm Charmaine Dollenberg, and I'm the Director of Field Conservation right here at the National Aquarium. At the aquarium, I've been a volunteer for 21 years and an employee for 20 years. I did not come from Baltimore City. I actually grew up north in Pennsylvania, near the Pocono Mountains. But on a field trip in high school, our school came to visit the National Aquarium. So I just completely fell in love with all of the animals and the experience that I had. So ever since that moment, I've kind of focused my career on trying to get here. This is our harbor wetland, and this is 8,000 square feet of habitat. Tidal wetland habitat used to be here 150, 200 years ago. But because we were a working city that brought in a lot of goods, and we have a power plant that supplied electricity to the city, all of our shoreline has been turned into a hardened structure over time. And all of this water has been dredged. So where we had shallow water, it's now about 60 feet right beneath us. So we're reintroducing some of these habitats that were once lost. And we're doing it in a modified way because we can't take away bulkhead. So instead, we created some infrastructure to be able to recreate a natural tidal habitat. This project, we hope, kind of lays the path for other waterfront post-industrial cities. So cities that are now coming back and reclaiming their shoreline.
No flooding wetland I know of has a shallow channel of moving water going through the middle. So we looked at the microhabitats of the animals and we recreated them. And the animals have responded. They're amazing to go out there and actually see these critters all coming here, reproducing, their populations growing right here in the inner harbor waters. We got the plants to grow and really figured out how to recreate the habitat to walk through that shallow channel we walked through and see all those small fishes. Walking through schools of fish, crabs. We found a couple diamondback terrapin turtles out there. You look at the waters around you. You have some allegiance to kind of keeping those waters clean, trying to restore them. So we've always had a conservation field team that would go out and plant marsh grasses and restored tidal wetlands. However, you have to drive to them, you have to go, and this time we thought, let's bring one right here in our backyard and the water in between. We really want to push back against this notion that if you want to enjoy nature, you got to get in your car, drive to a state park out of the city. There's nature in the city. We want them to basically come right here in the city and they're going to see a lot of native animals. So here we have a shell covered with baby oysters that were put into the channel back in the early summer, and it's just loaded with all these oysters that are growing. We never know, animal-wise, what's going to show. Before we even had the thing completed, we had a security guard at 5 in the morning walking through the interior bridge, look down, and there's a pair of river otters just running on the education deck, chasing each other around. And because all these environments have changed, the animals are still coming at the bay, they're exploring, they're trying to find food. And so we've had river otter sightings right here in the inner harbor.
I work in habitats outside of the aquarium walls. So when everyone thinks of the aquarium, they think of our collection of animals, but we have a team that focuses outside on restoring habitats. And our team has been doing that for 25 years and connecting the community to that work. Education is key to us here at the National Aquarium. We have a lot of youth in Baltimore City that grew up in the harbor but have never been able to use this as a resource. But they've always been taught that the harbor is a bad place, that you can't touch the water. And that's so far from the truth, and we hope their experience here with us today can change that.
It's really about discovery. I love it when I'm out there and I look. There's a family and the child is the first one. Look at that school of fish. Points it out to the other family members. So you're sort of the hero of the family. You're seeing things on your level that maybe others didn't. What we hope is when people come to the aquarium, when they're going home in the car, there's such a variety of animals here that the car conversations are. Did you see that bird? Did you see that shark? Did you see this? It's nothing like looking in the animal's eye, having a look back at you. Very different than a video or a documentary. To see the actual animal, have it looking at you is an experience that's unique.
I think the future of harbor wetland is that the habitat matures. We hope the biodiversity comes back and we see more abundance in the harbor. That's something that we're already seeing, and I know it's just going to get better. But more importantly, I really want other waterfront cities to see this as an example of what they can do. We look at it as a gift to the city. It's free. We want people to have an accessible way of interacting with the urban wildlife and understanding that there's wildlife that lives here. This is not just a dead zone. This is really a thriving ecosystem that's working.
So if you put a tennis racket in the inner harbor, it's a perfect growing space for dark frost mussels. I am the eternal optimist, and so I really feel that, you know, there's things that are going on now. Many years ago, we're in dire straits. Certain species have come back. Right now, there's a big effort to bring back oysters, oyster restoration, creating oyster sanctuaries. Diamondback terrapins at one time were made into a stew. A lot of restaurants in Baltimore, New York, Philadelphia served terrapin stew. And the aquarium was one of many partners that got together and basically got legislation that banned the commercial removal of diamondback terrapins from Maryland. So that turtle is coming back. So those kind of things are really highlights of my life, and I basically I feel like it's never hopeless, and there's all the knowledge we need to make a better world is there. We just have to basically do it.